The first three vehicles from Polestar were a sleek coupe, a compact sedan, and a compact crossover. So this fourth vehicle is a bit of all three? What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. This is the Polestar 4, the fourth vehicle from Volvo's all-electric sister brand, and it's a little hard to pin down. It's sleek like a coupe, sits high like a crossover, and has the functionality of a sedan, which means it competes against everything from the Tesla Model Y to the Sportback versions of Audi's Q6 and Q4 e-trons. So how does this stack up against a wide variety of EVs? Let's go spend some time with it and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, we'll start by taking a quick look at pricing. The rear-wheel drive version, that's a single motor of the Polestar 4, starts at about $57,000. The dual motor all-wheel drive version then starts at about $63,000. We are testing today a fully loaded version of that dual motor. Everything you see here is about $81,000, and we'll outline just how this car gets so expensive throughout the video. All right, now to the exterior styling of this car, and I like the way it looks. It definitely stands out from everything else on the road today. It does look like some of the other Polestars on the road, and there is actually a slight family resemblance to even some of the Volvo electric models that are coming out today, like the EX30, EX90, and EX60. Very sleek up front. These are daytime running lights on the top and the bottom. You've got the Polestar logo right here. There is a very small frunk underneath here. We'll show you that a little bit later. And then there's the overall height. While you can't tell because it's not parked next to anything, this does sit a little bit higher than your traditional coupe or sedan, but not quite as high as something like a Tesla Model Y. Turning to the side, this is where you can really see the dramatic profile of this new Polestar 4. It's very much a hatchback, but it does sit higher than your traditional coupe. It's also longer. The wheelbase and the length on this Polestar is longer than a number of other crossovers that are all electric. That's the Porsche Macan, the Audi A6, the Genesis GV60, and the Tesla Model Y. And you can also tell these wheels are pushed far into the corner of this vehicle. That's going to give it some really fun handling. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, as I mentioned, we're in a fully loaded version, so we've got 22-inch alloy wheels on our tester. Other versions will come standard with 20-inch wheels. I also want to talk about the Key Fob. We don't normally mention them in reviews because they're pretty self-explanatory, but the one on this Polestar is really frustrating. It's like the one on the Volvo EX30 we tested recently in that there are no buttons on it. Now, that may not seem like a big deal, but you don't realize how often you're using buttons until you don't have them anymore. Basically, anytime you want to open any of these doors or the rear hatch, the person has to have the key on them and be right next to the vehicle. That gets really frustrating. Maybe someone is far away or is in the house and needs to open the car for you. They can't do it on this. Again, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but throughout the weekend that we've had this car, it has been frustrating. Polestar does offer an app that you can use on your smartphone, but it's not the same as a very simple key fob. Volvo, if you're paying attention, give us some buttons. And then one final thing I want to point out, you have these pop-out door handles. Other cars today have them, they're becoming more and more common, but this is a test car, it's brand new, and over the weekend, this driver door handle was not popping out whatsoever. I had a little bit of trouble getting it out, kind of had to bang on it, don't tell Polestar, to finally get it out. Not what you want to see on a brand new $80,000 car, so just something to be aware of. All right, now to the rear of this Polestar 4, and this is where you're going to see one of the most interesting design choices of this entire car. There's no rear window. It looks like there might be one underneath this panel, but there's not. So definitely takes a little bit getting used to driving it because you're not looking out through a rear view mirror. You do have the rear view camera right there. We'll show you how that works a little bit later. But what do you guys think of this design choice? Do you think this looks cool? It sets it apart from everything else on the road, or is it just a little too much style over function? Let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, the rest of this rear end is pretty sleek. You've got the horizontal light bar running across the top here. That's very much in vogue in vehicles today. Then you've got the Polestar logo right here. And overall, this rear end does look like some of the other crossover coupe EV type of things that are on the road today. Like I mentioned, the GV60 or the Audi Q6 or Q4 e-trons. All right, let's talk powertrains. As I mentioned before, two different versions you can get. The base model is a single motor rear-wheel drive. It has 272 horsepower, 253 pound-feet of torque. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 6.9 seconds, and it has an EPA-rated range of about 310 miles. Then there's the dual motor version that we're testing today. And as you can see on the sticker down below, this has 400 kilowatts, which is 544 total horsepower, 506 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of power on this car. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. That's crazy fast. It has an EPA-rated range of 280 miles, but because we have the performance pack, that range drops to 255. All right, now let's talk charging. All models have a 100 kilowatt hour battery as standard. It's a 400 volt system and offers DC fast charging at speeds up to 200 kilowatts. Finally, as you can see, it still offers the old school CCS type of charge port, but it does come with a Tesla adapter for those NACS ports. All right, now to the interior of this Polestar 4. I like the inside of this car because it does a nice job of blending tech with luxury and style. You kind of get a little bit of everything. So we'll start with this screen right here. This is a 15.4 inch screen. It runs on Android Automotive operating system. So that means it has Google Maps, Google Assistant, and Google Play as its native functionality. You can use wireless Apple CarPlay, which is what I have set up right now. Overall, the screen is nicely designed and the UX is pretty good. A couple of years ago, I drove a Polestar 2 and I really didn't like the way the screen was set up. I think they've done a nice job evolving it since then. So everything is where you would want it to be. The menus are pretty easy to find. You've got some customization you can do. You can have the full screen right here. You can go back to the home. All these panels on the side you can customize to have different things displayed. So that's nice functionality. In front of me, I have a 10.2 inch digital instrument panel. You can also cycle through different views there. One of my favorite displays on this instrument panel is the Google Maps display. So you can have your destination, your navigation settings here without worrying about using this screen for other things like the audio system. So that's kind of a nice dual functionality. I also like that down below you do have some limited climate control functions that you can get to without needing to go to other submenus. So that's nice. And then on the center console here, you have a physical knob for the volume control. If you've seen our videos before, you know how important that is to me. So I do like that. There are a few things about this screen setup that I don't like, and mainly they all relate to needing to do too many steps, too many taps on the screen to get to very simple functions. To get to the fan speed and the climate control, you've got to actually hit the climate control button and then you've got to turn it up a little bit. That's too many taps just to adjust the fan speed. I do wish they just had an easy to access button down below. But the biggest thing that drives me nuts about this entire setup, and maybe this whole car, is that to adjust the direction of the air vents where they're pointing, you've got to go into this screen. You can't adjust them by hand. And this just seems like a silly application of tech where you don't need tech. So to adjust this, you've got to go to this display, find the vent that you want to adjust, hold your finger down on it, and then aim it wherever you need it to be. That is just too many steps for a very simple function, and it's not safe. The entire time you're doing that, you're taking your eyes off the road to make a very simple adjustment. Polestar's sister company, Volvo, has built its entire brand identity around being the safest automaker on the road, and this is just not a safe feature. That said, Polestar has built in some shortcuts that allow you to aim the vents at yourself or away from yourself at just the touch of a button, so you don't have to manually control it. You can also do it over for the passenger side as well. So that's helpful, but still kind of annoying that you have to go through the screens to touch this at all. One other thing to note is that buried in this screen are the adjustments for things like the side view mirrors or the steering wheel, which just takes a few more steps. They're not on the door where you might expect them. But otherwise, the rest of the cabin is really nicely done, very high-end materials. We've got the Nappa leather seat package on this car, which obviously comes with Nappa leather. These seats are very comfortable, really nice bolstering on the side. They are heated, cooled, and have massaging function up front. I also have a heated steering wheel. Other goodies on our fully loaded tester is that we have a heads-up display. We have the electronic dimming roof. You've got a high-end Harman Kardon audio system and a really cool 360-degree parking camera. I also just love the materials in this car. You've got stitched leather here on the side of the door. This is a really nice fabric material behind which you have this ambient lighting that looks pretty cool in the nighttime. You also have these brushed metal buttons for the window switches and the door handle, and just overall, everything feels high-end and really nicely put together. Finally, in terms of connectivity and utility, you've got some nice features. There's a wireless smartphone charging pad right here. Really nice place to tuck your phone, keep it out of the way while it's charging up. Pair of cup holders here. This center console is small, but it's pretty deep down below. You have a pair of USB-C charge ports there. And then finally down below, you've got a huge storage compartment for maybe a purse or a small bag. All right, now to the rear seats, and this is one of the most surprising areas of the whole car. There is a ton of space back here. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I'm sitting up there. I'm 6'1", so I'm sitting behind myself, and there's just acres of room. I mean, I haven't been in a car in a long time that had this much space. For my legs, my feet. Headroom is also really good, which is a little bit of a surprise given the profile of this car, the silhouette. So yeah, everywhere you look, you've got a ton of space. Another thing I like is that the floor down below is essentially flat, especially in the middle. So you could have another tall adult sitting in this third seat right here, and everybody's gonna have a comfortable seat. There are also a number of amenities keeping passengers back here comfortable. We've got heated seats on these outboard seats and our own climate control system back here. All of that is controlled by this touchscreen right here. And then down below that, you've got a pair of USB-C charge ports and then a really big armrest here in the middle. And as you can see, there are controls here to adjust the seat back positioning so you can move it up or down to get a little bit more comfort. All right, now let's take a look at cargo space back here. You've got 18.6 cubic feet of space in the trunk of this Polestar 4. That's good for a sedan, but not so great for a crossover, so it sort of depends on what your priority is. There is a little bit more storage down below. We can put some charge cables down there. This floor also drops a little bit lower. If you need even more room, you can open up this hatch right here, and that provides some space into the cabin itself, and then those seats are split 60-40, and they do fold almost flat. When you do that, you have nearly 55 cubic feet of total space. Finally, if that's not enough, you do have a small frunk space, about half a cubic foot, maybe to put some charge cables or just some things you're not going to need all the time. All right, next up, driving impressions. And as you might imagine is the case with anything with 544 horsepower, this thing is a riot to drive. I'm having an absolute blast. A couple of things to note. For one, there's a nice amount of adjustability built into this Polestar 4. You can adjust 3 different modes of steering firmness. You also have 3 different levels of regen braking, either off, light, or normal. And then the model we're testing has the performance pack that's $4,500, and one of the things it includes is an adjustable suspension. So the suspension itself has 3 different settings. That performance pack also gives you Brembo brakes and a couple of other features. This car also has torque vectoring. The dual motor versions will have torque vectoring. So all of that plus the 544 horsepower adds up to a really engaging car to drive. Even in the suspension's softest setting, the normal setting, there's very little body roll. When you go around turns, we're out in the mountains right now, you go around a tight turn at speed, the body roll is very nicely controlled, but then very comfortable at the same time. You've got all kinds of acceleration. The brakes are very strong, but I have to think that even regular brakes, models without the performance pack, are still going to work perfectly fine. But yeah, man, this car is fun. The steering, I've had it in the light setting. I usually don't keep steering modes in light, but still getting plenty of feedback from the road. So all of that adds up to a comfortable, fast, dynamic car. I'm really impressed by this thing on the road. Beyond just the performance aspect, this is just a comfortable car to drive on a daily basis. There's really no wind noise, no road noise. The seats, like I said earlier, are very comfortable. So you could drive this sporty on a mountain road like this, but then put it on the freeway for daily driving. No matter the situation, you're going to be having fun and comfortable. One thing to note about the performance pack is it does drop the range of the Polestar 4. Dual motor versions come standard with 280 miles of range. The performance pack drops it down to 255. 280 already isn't great, especially in 2026, so to lose even that much more is kind of frustrating. And then there's the question of visibility. What's it like to drive a car that has no rear window? Honestly, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. Generally, when a car has a digital rear view mirror, I don't use it. I like to use the standard setting, but here, obviously, you don't even have that option. So it takes a little getting used to, but maybe a day, right? And then before you know it, you don't realize that there is no rear window. This camera has a really cool feature that I've never seen before on a digital rear view mirror. So when you turn your blinker on for either right or left, it will change the angle of this rear view camera just a little bit further to that side to give you just a little bit better view of what's over on either side. So I've been testing that on the freeway. It's super functional, super useful, really kind of clears up the blind spot that might otherwise be there. So generally the visibility is pretty good, either through the back with this camera or out front. You do still have a really big B-pillar over my shoulder. Remember, these windows are frameless, so for structural reasons, you've got a big B-pillar. That does get a little annoying. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2026 Polestar 4. Pros, well, we like the crisp, unique styling that sets it apart without being too weird. This is also a blast to drive. 544 horsepower and really great handling is a nice combination. Finally, we like the infotainment screen on the interior. It's got crisp graphics and a really nice design that makes using it pretty easy. Cons, well, there's no rear window, and that fact alone will turn off some buyers. Also, there are all those annoying quirks that we mentioned earlier that add up to a little bit of a frustrating experience sometimes. We're talking about the key fob, the air vents, or the door handle issues. Finally, the options added on our tester do make it a little too expensive for what it is. But overall, we do like this Polestar 4. We think it's a nice alternative to many of the other more staid options on the market today. Go with this dual motor version, but hold off on most of the options, and you have a really fun, unique, compelling EV that's unlike anything else on the road today. So for reviews or listings of this Polestar or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, check out CarGurus.com. And we now have a podcast called The Driveway. It features yours truly and the rest of our great content team. Be sure to check it out wherever you get your other favorite podcasts. Finally, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.